Here's an interesting package from Europe, from Italy, costing just over 48 euros. It comes from Amatruda, from the street of the papermakers in Amalfi. Well, it's been sent to me beautifully packed and arriving in just literally, I think, 3 days. It's an order here just for 30 sheets, 2 packs of Amatruda handmade Amalfi paper. A3 size, 15 sheets per pack, hand torn edges. This is how it comes. It's just absolutely beautifully presented. Each pack sealed with wax seals. It's fantastic. Typical Italian attention to detail and quality. This is the kind of paper that Graphic Studio use to make their Amalfi books. And I can use this in my own Epson printer, and the cost on this basis is around about £1.30 per A3 sheet, with edges that I cannot possibly manage to create myself. This natural decal edge, the beautiful colour and texture of this paper. It's many years since I used my parents' sealing wax to seal envelopes, and to see this on this Italian paper sealed up the package, really beautiful. There you have it. I felt really bad just breaking open the wax seals and destroying them inside the packaging. 15 sheets of this really lovely, beautifully textured, natural, warm coloured, handmade Italian paper on the Epson 3800. I'm setting this to use matte ink, as you would expect. This paper is very thin, and I've not been able to use a backing sheet behind it. It will be interesting to see how it reacts to feeding. I've set this just a plain A3 feed, no borderless or anything of that nature. And to use enhanced matte paper as the setting. And the profile I'm using to print from Photoshop is one that I made in fact for Lakeland Artist paper, which is a non-inkjet photographic paper. This Amalfi paper is receptive to inkjet, but it's also intended for other purposes. So it should be similar to a regular artist's paper. This is a fairly old Epson P3800. Certainly it's been on the go for 10 years, and I'm now running it using Marrott refillable cartridges. So you may be able to see here the density. This is a processed picture to have an appropriate effect. It's a shot of Amalfi. The density is pretty good. The amount of ink has caused a slight kind of dampening of the paper, which makes it need drying before it will be flat. I can probably reduce the amount of ink on this, and I think that it needs to be on an A3 sheet, backed by an A3 sheet, to avoid a slightly crooked feed. Also, I don't need to have this area of print. It doesn't look right. It should be a much smaller print on a piece of hand-torn paper like this, not filling as much of that area. To ensure a straighter feed of the paper, I've inserted a sheet of Permajet Portrait Rag 285 behind the sheet of the thin 150 gram Amalfi paper which is going to feed in front of it. What I'm noticing here is that the hand-torn edge, the decal edge, has been pushed over towards the right-hand side as you view the print by the feed mechanism, and the Epson feed has on the P3800 torn part of the top decal edge. This clearly is a problem which must mean that we have to invert the photograph and print the other way around, as the other edge has less tearing on it. So we need to make the leading edge going into the printer the one which has not got the hand-torn effect. Using the watercolour profile has restored the amount of colour that I wanted in the picture, close match now to what I've got on screen. It's pretty straight along with the paper edge. I would say that subject to drying out, it's not bad. I might need to fine-tune the position of the print if I was making a run and work out how to balance the margins a little better. I'm very happy with the overall look and feel of the paper. For this kind of work. Well, that's the print of this graphically treated view of Amalfi made. I think I can find a use for this paper, and I think that because of the look and feel of it, it has a high value per print. I would possibly try profiling it as I did with the Lakeland Artists paper which produced the profile I used here. That's a much whiter, heavier paper. But inkjet printers can print on papers which are made for artist use and not inkjet use. You just have to get the settings right. I really like the look and feel of the Amalfi handmade, hand-torn edged paper.